Mantell-Hecathorn Builders has been around for 40 years. We started in Fairbanks, Alaska, initially building log homes and quickly evolved into building double insulated, super insulated homes, which is unique to that market at the time. Then moved to California where we built, once again, high performance houses, but just kind of a unique quality. All the clients were very discerning clients wanting the best. And so our mission statement for 40 years is always personal attention to detail, one home at a time.
On a house like this, although it's 5,400 square foot, I think one of the things that is also challenging yet rewarding is incorporating the same building science and energy efficient details that we do to, say, a home a quarter of that size, a 1,600 square foot house, yet on a larger scale. So although it's more challenging, because there's so many different layers to it, it's, we're still trying to meet a, in technical detail is 1.5 air change per hour or lower. So that's, it's really, really tight. So that's just one aspect, is the air tightness, but, all of the wall insulation techniques or the roof or the foundation, it's, the cool thing is that it's a much larger house, but yet it's using the same techniques that we do on what most would consider a small, compact, energy efficient house.
Back in April, we completed this house. I think we first met with Kurt and Rebecca, probably 3 years prior to that. And they interviewed a few other contractors and did a lot of research on us and selected Hunter and I to be the contractors that helped them in the design and construction of this incredible house.
The first trip my husband and I ever went on together, a trip together, we went to Telluride and then came down here to Durango and just fell in love with it. So in our search to look for a retirement home, we decided to look into Durango. We dreamt about what do we want to look at when we retire? What do we want to feel? What do we want to experience? And the mountains and the things that were around the mountains, and just sitting outside our back porch or looking out the windows and looking at the mountains and the view, the peacefulness of the mountains. Searching out the start for an architect to design our dream home. Second, to find the right builder. We found the right architect, and then getting recommendations as far as a builder, and heard wonderful things about Mantell-Hecathorn, the background, where they came from, their type of home. Our desire was to have a solid, well-built home, especially here in the mountains. And we are so pleased, have been so blessed that we chose Mantell-Hecathorn.
Well, I mean, really, the house is was a result of Rebecca's really fine-tuned image of what she had in mind of a country manor. It's almost like a 1920s style of house with all the smaller space instead of the big grand room that you typically see nowadays. It was smaller spaces, much more intimate. That was the starting point, and she gave both Jim Rothwell, the architect, and Hunter and I a binder that thick of double-sided colored pictures from house that were a reflection of what she wanted to see when the house was all said and done.
So for Lauterbach's house, I'm hoping one of the best results of the house was its authenticity to what the client's goal was. This vintage house that has a country manor feel to it. It's formal in some aspects. This is not a great room concept house. Each individual room has its own presence, has its own orientation, has its own flow. One of Rebecca's most important issues for her was she wanted some mystery to the house, some experience, so that as you went from room to room, it didn't lay itself out necessarily obviously. That doesn't mean it was complicated, that doesn't mean it was confusing, but it meant the flow had intrigue to it, that as you went from space to space, there was learning, there was something new going on in each room, there was a different orientation, a little bit of a surprise. So I think the house lays itself out very well that way. I also think there's an organization to the house that unclutters the complication of that brings it all together so it feels like one house. The detailing's consistent. The finishes are consistent from room to room, even though they may change. The scales of the spaces go from the larger social room and kitchen to the smaller bedrooms and corridors. So I think overall the consistency to the design, there is no contemporary detail that doesn't fit in with what the country manor style is. There's no modern in the house. It's really consistent with style. And so for me as an architect, that's really important.
What's kind of fun for us is to be able to incorporate our building science and quality and durability details into a house that when you first look at it looks like, you know, a beautiful old house. You know, this house definitely, you know, was challenging in multiple ways, not only just from the architecture and, you know, the corners and plate height changes and all of that, but also just the level of detail inside. You know, there's a lot of trim in this house, which was very fitting to the older houses. You know, coffered ceilings, box beams, crown, arched doorways. So, you know, it kind of, you know, it on a scale of 1 to 10, it was, you know, it was up there at say an 8 or so. So it was, you know, but also that's what's fun is it's, you know, there's different challenges and in the different architectural styles. So.
The first time we met Greg and Hunter, Mantell-Hecathorn, I believe there was an instant connection. There's just that feeling that they're professional, they know what they're talking about, you know you can trust them.
I think Greg and Hunter definitely set themselves apart from their building practices, from their documentation, from their integrity and trust value, and of course purely from the quality level of building. Their subcontractors are all the A-list in Durango. They have vested relationships with them so they can get them on the job when they need them. So they really bring the best team to the project. So there's a few good contractors in Durango, but I would absolutely, unequivocally say that Greg and Hunter are one of the best.
We felt complete, confident, trust, knew that they would provide and keep to their word what they had told us from the very beginning. And the result in our home, we feel like we have such a solid built home, very pleased with our builder and very pleased with our architect. I would highly recommend them to anyone.